The vote that changed everything. The Galactic Assembly was vast. Thousands of alien species sat in curved rows of shimmering seats. Holograms danced above them, each glowing with the face of a representative. Some were tall, with long limbs. Others floated in tubes or buzzed with wings. At the center was the speaker, an ancient being with cold eyes. Today, the assembly had one item on the agenda: Earth. Earth was different. The humans didn't follow the assembly's laws. They didn't ask for membership. They didn't share technology. Some even said they were dangerous. Too strong. Too wild. Too free. The speaker's voice echoed across the chamber. Let the vote begin. Shall we seize Earth? Shall we force them to kneel like others have before? Many nodded. Some cheered. Only a few stayed silent. They remembered stories about human wars, human courage, and human fury. But they were ignored. One by one, the votes were cast. Out of 1,372 species, only 6 voted no. The rest? Yes. Enslave Earth. Break their will. Take their planet. The result flashed in the sky above. Enslavement authorized. In a cold room far away, a young human named Dale stared at the broadcast. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't rich. He just fixed things. Pipes. Engines. Old satellites. But today, he felt something rise in his chest, a hate. Not fear. Not sadness, anger. Across Earth, other humans watched the same message. Old veterans clenched fists. Scientists shut down labs. Farmers looked up at the stars. Soldiers loaded weapons without a word. Children stopped smiling. Mothers started planning. The world didn't see it prepared. The Galactic fleet arrived 3 days later. Ships as large as mountains floated above Earth's skies. Blue beams stretched from space to the ground. They weren't firing yet. They were scanning. Mapping. Measuring. Targets. In orbit, Admiral Corin of the Valari species grinned inside his command chair. Begin Phase 1, he said. His officers obeyed. Drones dropped from orbit. Machines hummed to life. Gravity fields were charged to keep humans locked in place, except it didn't work. The drones were shot down before they landed. The gravity fields backfired and crushed their own machines. The human satellites went dark, but not before broadcasting everything to the world. Including their message: they chose to enslave us. Now, we show them what Earth really is. Admiral Corin watched in silence as his screens flickered. Human ships, old, rusted, and small, rose from the surface like a swarm of hornets, but they were fast. Too fast. One slammed into a Valari cruiser and exploded. It was unmanned. A decoy. A real fighter zipped through the wreckage and dropped a bomb on the Valari flagship. It missed, but the message was clear: Earth wasn't going to kneel. In a bunker deep underground, Dale sat with others. Some were scientists. Some were farmers. Some were former soldiers. They all had one thing in common: they were ready. A woman named Myra stepped forward. The aliens think they voted to enslave Earth, she said. But they just signed their own doom. Everyone nodded. Myra added, let's show them what mercy looks like after it's gone. The alien fleet above Earth expected surrender. They had enslaved many planets before, some stronger than Earth. They always won. Their strategy was simple: come in fast, break defenses, land troops, take control. But Earth was not like the others. Admiral Corin frowned. His screens blinked with alerts. His fleet had lost 2 scout ships and 5 drones in just 10 minutes. He sent more. They vanished too. Status, he barked. One officer shook with fear. Sir, the humans are jamming our sensors. We can't track anything near the surface. Corin cursed in his own tongue. Then we go blind. Drop troops now. Across Earth's skies, thousands of black pods fell from orbit. Each held a battle drone or a mind-controlled warrior. They hit the ground like thunder, then opened, but no one waited to welcome them. Instead, each pod was destroyed within seconds. Hidden traps exploded. Metal spikes launched from the trees. Fire shot from abandoned cars. Even the ground itself crumbled under their feet. It was like the planet had teeth. In the deserts, deep forests, and cold mountains, human resistance. Teams struck hard and fast. They knew their land. They used every trick. A drone entered a building in New York, only to trigger a trap made of wires, knives, and magnets. A squad of mind-controlled aliens walked through a jungle, then disappeared as vines pulled them into pits filled with steel shards. This wasn't war. It was a hunt. And Earth was the predator. Myra and Dale stood near an old power station outside the city. Their team had just taken down 3 drop pods with homemade railguns. Smoke rose behind them. One boy from the group looked up at Dale. Why didn't they expect this? Dale answered, because they forgot one thing. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know how to survive, how to strike, how to win. And now, the boy asked. Dale's face was calm. Now we fight together. That's worse for them. Meanwhile, in orbit, Admiral Corin grew pale. His fleet was stuck. He couldn't land. He couldn't hold airspace. And his enemies, humans, were doing something unthinkable. They were climbing up hundreds of old rockets, stealth shuttles, and high-speed fighters launched from hidden bases. They weren't advanced. Some looked like junk. But they were fast, clever, and armed with weapons designed for one thing: killing alien ships. Corin's second-in-command screamed, "They are coming to us. They are coming to orbit." Corin couldn't believe it. No planet had ever brought the war up before. It was always down, but the humans weren't playing by the rules. The first attack wave hit his fleet hard. Kamikaze drones tore through shields. Railshot missiles overloaded defense grids. Then came the boarding pods. On board a Valari warship, a door blew open with fire and smoke. Human soldiers in patchwork armor stepped in. One of them held a flamethrower. Another used a spear. No fear. No hesitation. Just rage. Within 10 minutes, they controlled the bridge. One soldier turned to the camera and spoke. "You voted to enslave Earth. Now Earth votes no." Across the galaxy, millions watched the broadcast. It spread like wildfire. On every screen. On every station. Even planets far from Earth stopped and stared. In the assembly hall where the vote had passed, silence filled the room. The same aliens who had voted to enslave Earth now watched in horror. One elder whispered, "They were supposed to fall. But they are rising." Another muttered, "We poked the death world and woke the beast." The broadcast of the human boarding team spread to every corner of the galaxy. Aliens in bright cities and distant outposts stared at their screens. They had seen wars. But this was different. One human had stared into the camera, eyes cold and calm, and declared Earth's vote no. And then they had taken a warship. News reports flooded in. Third Fleet destroyed near Mars orbit. Valari flagship down. Survivors say humans used gravity weapons. Earth troops fighting hand-to-hand aboard dreadnoughts. Galactic invasion has failed. On the planet Velton, a counselor dropped his drink. On the world of Gra-Tha, a school was evacuated in panic. Even the mighty warlords of the Ogren Empire paused their conquests to ask, "What did we do to Earth?" In the center of it all, the Galactic Assembly froze. The very same hall that had voted for Earth's enslavement now echoed with silence. The speaker rose, slowly. "We may have underestimated them." A small creature from a peaceful moon shouted, "You said they were primitive. You said they would break." The speaker nodded. They didn't break. They rose. Meanwhile, Earth didn't stop. In orbit. Human ships moved like wolves, fast, precise, deadly. They didn't aim to control. They didn't ask for talks. They struck hard and vanished into space. In deep space, cargo ships from other species were boarded. Human operatives left notes behind, "We do not want your slaves. We do not want your land. But we remember. And we are coming." On the moon base, Dale stood in front of a screen showing the alien panic. Beside him, Myra smiled. "They are scared now." Dale didn't smile. "Not scared enough. They haven't paid yet." Earth had awakened. But it was more than that. Something ancient had stirred inside the human race. For years they were seen as weak, disobedient, Isolated, now, they were a storm, and the galaxy was starting to feel the first winds. In a small village on the desert world of Thula, old farmers watched smoke rise from a military base. It had been built by the invaders. Now, it burned. The people whispered, the humans were here. On the icy moon of Drum, a mining colony went dark. Only one message was sent before silence, they told us to vote. We voted wrong. The humans came. Even species that had voted yes to enslave. Earth now sent secret messages, we were forced to vote. Please don't punish us. We didn't know what you were capable of. We beg for mercy. But Earth answered none of them, they were not asking for forgiveness, they were sending a message, the aliens had voted to own Earth. Now Earth would teach them why some planets should never be crossed, back on Earth, hidden under the old mountains. A command center buzzed with life. Screens showed maps of the galaxy. Red dots marked alien homeworlds, bases, and fleets. Humans didn't plan to destroy planets. But they would shatter PowerPoint. One leader pointed at the red marks. We won't hit civilians. Only military and political targets. Will that be enough? Someone asked. Myra stepped forward. It's not about enough. It's about reminding them. Reminding them of what? She looked at the screen. That Earth is not theirs. Never was. Never will be. The galaxy had expected a broken planet instead. They found a united one. They found rage, they found resolve, and soon, they would find no mercy. Asterisk. The Valari homeworld, once the pride of the Galactic Council, now shook under a wave of silent terror. The skies above it no longer glittered with trade ships. Instead, unknown signals bounced off their satellites. Strange messages interrupted broadcasts. And then, without warning, boom. A power station in the capital exploded. Not nuclear. Not alien tech. Human-made, small and exact. No civilians died, but every government system went offline. Entire cities fell into darkness above. Earth stealth drones floated unseen. The message was clear, we see you. We can reach you. And we choose not to destroy. Yet, Admiral Corrin, now stranded with half a fleet left, stared at the reports. He knew this war had changed. It wasn't about territory anymore. It was about fear. About proving a lesson. The kind no species would forget, they are dismantling us, Corrin whispered, bit by bit. He slammed his fist down. Send a peace signal. Now. But Earth ignored the signal. On board Earth's flagship, the Resolute, Dale stood on the command deck beside Myra. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was now one of many leaders in Earth's Rapid Defense and Strike Command. Myra handed him a new report. They sent another request for peace. Dale didn't even look at it. Too late. They are scared. They voted to enslave us, Dale said. Now they'll live with what they chose. Across the stars, human special units hit military facilities. They didn't bomb cities. They didn't wipe out colonies. They hit command centers, silenced communication hubs, dismantled power, and always left a mark behind, a black flag with Earth symbol burned into steel. On planets like Relna and Drux, soldiers who once laughed at humans now fled when they saw shadows. One captain ran into his own war council screaming, "They are here. The humans. I saw them. But no one found any bodies. Just traps. Just notes. Just destruction." In orbit over planet Tolmar, 3 alien fleets tried to regroup. They thought Earth would only strike planets, not space. They were wrong. The Resolute, along with 2 old Earth carriers, jumped into the system without warning. The carriers had once been outdated. Earth had upgraded them in secret. Now, they carried drone swarms, stealth missiles, and elite fighters. In minutes, Earth's forces ripped through the first fleet, the second ran, the third surrendered. Dale stood on the bridge and watched as alien ships turned off their weapons, flashed their lights in the old code for surrender. Myra turned to him. What now? Dale answered, now we teach them the meaning of mercy. He opened a channel to the enemy fleet. This is Earth. You voted to enslave us. We chose to fight. You surrender now not because we offered peace, but because we forced you to feel fear. We accept your surrender. But remember this. Next time, we won't show restraint. Silence followed, then alien ships began to fall back on Earth. The people cheered, not for destruction, but because they had stood their ground. In the Galactic Assembly, panic grew. Species that once mocked humans now pleaded for peace. Some even arrested their own leaders who voted yes during the enslavement order. On a moon far from Earth, an alien professor whispered to her students, "This is why you never judge a species by size or tech. Humanity is a force born from struggle." She showed them the message left on a wrecked warship: we wanted peace. You wanted control. Now you get to live with neither. And still, Earth had not struck a single civilian world. They didn't need to. They had done something worse than total destruction. They had earned fear without becoming monsters. They had shown what mercy looked like when it came from power. The Galactic Assembly Hall, once filled with proud voices, now echoed with chaos. Counselors shouted across the room. Translation drones buzzed, trying to keep up. Accusations flew like lightning. You lied about Earth's weakness. You said they had no advanced weapons. Your vote brought this upon all of us. The speaker stood at the center, gripping the edges of the stone podium. His skin shimmered under the stress. He tried to speak, but the noise drowned him. A thin alien from the Rim world slammed a data pad on the table. Their ships have crossed 3 sectors in 5 days. They've disabled 33 military hubs without killing a single civilian. How do you stop something like that? Another, older counselor whispered, you don't. You just beg. Suddenly, a new signal lit the sky screen above them. It was from Earth.no image. Just a voice, calm and cold. To the council who chose slavery, your vote has consequences. You invited yourselves into our skies. Now we will visit yours. You will not be destroyed. You will be remembered as the ones who tested Earth and lost. The voice vanished. No threat. No offer of peace, just a warning. The room fell silent. 1. Species, small, soft, with blue feathers, stood and spoke for the first time in months. I voted no. My people begged you not to move against Earth. You mocked us. You said we were weak for siding with them. And now you hide. She turned toward the speaker. Disband this council before Earth does it for us. The room exploded again, not with violence, but fear. Real fear. Not of death, but of losing everything: power, pride, control, back on Earth, inside an underground control bunker. Myra watched the council's signal collapse. One by one, species pulled out of the alliance. The Galactic Council was breaking apart. They are eating themselves, she said. Dale looked up from a strategy board. They thought they were gods. Now they are realizing they are just creatures. Should we push harder? Someone asked. Dale shook his head. No. They are already broken. What we do next will decide what kind of legacy Earth leaves. Vengeance? No, Dale replied. Memory. Let them live with what they did. Let their children grow up knowing Earth showed mercy when we didn't have to. The team nodded. They weren't there to destroy galaxies. They were there to protect Earth and teach the stars a lesson they'd never forget. Meanwhile, in orbit, a meeting took place. A dozen alien envoys arrived in a single shuttle. No guards. No weapons. Just fear and hope. They stepped aboard the Resolute, heads lowered, hands raised. Myra greeted them with no smile. 1 envoy, his scales grey with age, stepped forward. We were wrong, he said. About everything. Earth was not the enemy. We were. We broke our own laws. We voted without wisdom. We seek peace. Dale didn't move. You came to enslave us, he said slowly. And now you asked for peace. The envoy dropped to his knees. Not peace. Forgiveness. The room was quiet for a long time, then Myra spoke. We will forgive, but not forget. And the galaxy will remember who stood for justice and who stood for chains. The envoys nodded. Tears fell from one. They had expected war. Instead, they found humanity. A week passed since the council fell apart. Across the galaxy, silence replaced the usual news. No new laws. No threats. No trade disputes. Just silence and whispers of Earth's fury. On the planet Lura, a merchant took down all signs showing Council protected. On planet Duran, young students no longer saluted the old flag of the Assembly. And in the distant colony of Tenari, families gathered in the dark to hear forbidden stories about the humans who rose, but Earth didn't sit still. The Resolute traveled from system to system, not with weapons ready, but with truth. Broadcasts were sent daily from Earth's new transmission fleet. Not messages of power or revenge, but records. Recordings of the Council's vote. Footage of alien troops preparing to land. Images of humans standing in fire, refusing to break, and above all, Earth's message, repeated in every language: we were not the threat. You made us. 1. We will not conquer. We will not forget. The words echoed through 1,000 worlds. On a space station near the broken trade routes, an old alien mechanic turned to his granddaughter. Do you know why they are doing this? He asked. She shook her head. They want us to remember. Not their weapons. Not their rage. But their restraint. Meanwhile, inside the Resolute, Dale sat in the war room, watching a growing map of blue zones, places where species had declared independence from the Council, adopted Earth's new peace code, or simply dropped their weapons. Myra entered with a new report. The last Council loyalist fleet surrendered this morning, she said. No fight. Just a request to return home. Dale leaned back in his seat. That's the 10th in 3 days. They are scared. He nodded. Good. Fear fades. Memory stays. She looked at him carefully. You don't want to rule them. No, Dale replied. Earth doesn't want to rule. We want them to stand on their own and never vote for slavery again. In the old Galactic Assembly Hall, now abandoned, a lone human drone entered. It projected a hologram into the sky above the ruins. A girl's voice spoke. Calm. Strong. This was the place where Earth was betrayed. You chose chains. We chose fire. But we also chose to stop. Not because we were weak, but because we remembered who we are. And then, across the galaxy, something new appeared. A symbol point, 2 hands, 1 human, 1 alien, holding a broken chain. It wasn't Earth's flag. It was Earth's promise. Planets began flying it, not out of fear, but out of respect, back on Earth. In the hills where Dale had once worked fixing satellites, he stood under the stars with Myra. The sky was clear now. No ships. No battles, just peace. You think they'll remember? She asked. They will, he said softly. And if they don't? Earth will still be here. Watching. Waiting. Ready. He looked up. Always. The wind passed through the trees, somewhere above, the Resolute watched silently, guarding not just Earth, but the lesson Earth had carved into the stars. Months passed. The galaxy, once ruled by pride and power, had changed. The great flags of the old Council were taken down. The halls where Earth had been mocked now stood in silence. Species that once voted to enslave humans now taught their young to respect Earth, to fear it, and to learn from it. But Earth didn't celebrate. It rebuilt. Old cities damaged by the war were restored with stronger walls and deeper roots. Defense platforms stayed online, but were silent. Human factories no longer made weapons for vengeance. They made shields, medicines, and explorers, because Earth didn't want to be worshipped. It just wanted to be left alone. In space, the Resolute floated quietly near the edge of a star system. It had visited over 50 worlds. Not to conquer, but to watch. To remind. On its deck, Myra looked through a large window as stars passed by. Behind her, Dale stepped into the room. His uniform was worn, but clean. His voice was soft. They are forming a new council, he said. Without Earth? She asked. He nodded. By choice. She smiled slightly. Good. Let them lead themselves this time. They offered Earth a throne, total power. And I told them we don't kneel. We don't sit on thrones either. They both laughed, just a little. In the distance, a small fleet approached. Refugees. Survivors. A species once used as foot soldiers by the Council. They were now seeking protection, not from Earth, but from their own past. The Resolute sent one signal: you are free. No chains here. No masters. But remember who broke the first link. They were welcomed. Earth had changed the galaxy. Not by ruling, but by proving that one planet, when pushed too far, could shake the stars. On the edge of a quiet moon, a sculpture stood. No weapons. No soldiers. Just a figure of a human standing, arms crossed, above broken chains. Beneath it, the words read, "They voted to enslave us. We stood alone. Now we stand watched, but never bowed." Dale walked through the halls of the Resolute, nodding to crew members who had become more than soldiers. They were now protectors. Witnesses. Watchdogs. As he reached the observation deck again, Myra turned to him. "Do you ever regret it? Not going further? Not punishing more of them?" Dale shook his head. "If we became like them, we wouldn't be worth remembering." "What now?" He smiled. "Now we go home." The Resolute turned, slowly facing the direction of Earth. Engines hummed. The stars ahead opened like a path made just for them. Behind them, the galaxy watched, some with respect, some with awe, all with memory. Earth didn't need to rule. It had already won.by rising.by enduring.by walking alone, and still choosing mercy. Asterisk.